So I use ThinkOrSwim, and here's the main layout for ThinkOrSwim. So if you look over here at the quick chart, this is what you're going to be using the most. If you enter in any stock symbol you want, and then go across, and you'll see like a beaker or a flask, and this will take you to the studies. These are all the different indicators that they have that you can use, and I'll be going through each one of these and making my own versions of them. And here you can just press the create button, and now you can create your own program. So I will start off by naming the first one my first program. So I'll start off by just explaining a few things, like setting up a variable like DEF. I'm assuming that means define, and so I'm defining x as a variable and setting it equal to 1. Now you can also define a variable by calling it input and then setting it to a value. And inputs are things that you can, I'll show you in a little bit what it does. And you can also put plot and then enter a variable, and you always have to end it with the semicolon. So the input, now if you notice y equals 1, now look at this, there's the 1 right there, and that represents all the inputs. So if you have more than one input, they'd be separated there with a comma. So here now, if I change this to a 5, you will see that it will also change out here. But in the beginning I won't be using too many inputs. They won't be necessary. Now if you notice that it doesn't quite show up in the graph when I hit apply. When you put it under the price of the volume, it doesn't show up. Really, you got to put it under the lower section. Now I could put, I think it's called define lower. I can't remember what it is. It's not liking it. So there's something you can put there, something lower, and it'll automatically put it in the lower section when you open it up. But I won't worry about that right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to define something called price change, because this is what we're going to be looking at to determine if the future price of the stock has gone up or if it's gone down. So by using a negative number, this will be negative 5 days. That means it'll look ahead 5 days, not back. And you'll see that I'm just taking the percentage of the close values of the stock. So this will give me a percentage 5 days ahead and see whether the stock went up or down. So, and I'm just going to create this variable called days ahead and just set it equal to 5, so then I can put it in here, and then I can use that variable in other places. So let me get rid of this, and so now I'm going to define a percent change that I'm looking for. Like, so 5 days out, if it changes, so I'm setting it to 1, so 1%. So if the price changes by more than 1%, then I'm going to say like it's a good time to buy. If the future value goes down more than 1%, I'm going to say it's a good sell. So here I'll define buy as a variable, and I'll say if the price change is greater than the percent change I'm looking for, and I gotta divide it by 100. Then, well, they use these brackets for then. So then, buy will equal, for now I'll just say, because I don't have any data here yet, so this will change once I'm actually using data. So I'm just gonna like set it equal to the previous value of buy, and then add 1 to it. just so we can see what happens. So then I can say else buy will equal just the previous value of buy, so it won't change. So this will basically count all the different times that this gives me a price change greater than 1%. So here I'll create another variable called buy plot, and it will plot all the buy values. So here you can see it just keeps going up and up and up. Every time it finds a buy, or if it goes up more than 1%, it'll add to that value. So there's another way to do this. And it's by using a loop command, and in ThinkScript the loop command is called fold. So if I define buy equal to fold, then I need to set up an index value. I'll just call it buy index equals 1 to some number. So it'll increment up. It'll basically go through 1 to 10 times through this loop, and then I create some temporary variable to hold a value that will eventually be assigned to buy. So if price change, just like before, is greater than the percent change divided by 100, and here actually is that then, so it will be an if then that temporary variable buy temp now I don't have to say buy temp equals something, you just put the value of what it is. So here it's buy temp. I'm going to try 1 here. I'm not quite sure. 1 basically means that it's grabbing the value, the previous value, and then plus data, and I'm going to enter the data in here in a little bit. And if it doesn't, then the buy temp just equals the previous buy temp. So I am going to define data 1 as it can be anything related to the stock, and this is where the studies are going to come in. So you can put close value or the volume or whatever data you choose. So for this, I'm just going to use volume, just because it's kind of random. But as you can see here, it doesn't like me using buy temp here. So I'm wondering if this is where I use buy. Okay, it likes it. So we're going to give it a try and see what happens. Alright, I'm changing my mind. I think I will keep buy temp, but put the index value where the data is. So I think it just doesn't like me calling out past values of the temporary variable. So when I hit apply, okay, it seemed to work. Alright. Wait. No, okay, there. It didn't work. That's not what I wanted. So let me see what's going on here. If I change this and hit apply, nothing happens. So this index value is doing nothing, so that's not right. I'm just going to try a few things here. Adding the index value to buy temp. Maybe that'll work. So I hit apply. Nope. Still nothing. Let's see. So the plot I'm looking for is more like a squiggly up and down line, but not these like pulse signals. Alright, so if I just change this to buy and hit, and didn't like that at all. So what if I'm gonna have to check out a few things here, make sure everything's okay. So if I look at the price change, it should be close to 0, yeah. And so it kind of hovers around -0.2 and +0.2. So that part is okay. So I'll change that back. And now if I plot this, it should pretty much be the same as the other one. Ooh, okay. Can't plot that unless I put buy temp here for some reason. Yeah, that just gives them the same thing. So if I look at how many bars that is, that looks, I don't know, that looks about 20. Let me just try, yeah, see, the index value doesn't even do anything, so something's wrong there. Alright, so I think this is the problem. I need to put the index value here for the price change, so it looks at previous values of the price change. Okay, that didn't work. Let me just up that up a little bit, and there we go. That's what I'm looking for. And if I did that, it should give me a more flattened out version of the plot, and it does, so I think everything's good now. So let me just change things back here. So the first part of the program is working good now. Now I need to create a counter, since that first fold loop statement is just adding up the data at the points where it's greater than 1% increase. So I want an average of that data. So to do that, I need to create a counter. And I'm also going to create this look back variable, because I'm going to use this in a couple of spots, here and here. So the conditions need to be the same, because the counter is just going to count how many times I've added to the value of the variable by, so that then I can divide it and get the average. So price change, then I put the index value here for this fold statement, greater than percent change divided by 100. And then I'm just gonna add 1 to the BC temp, or else it's just gonna be BC temp. So this will be BC temp plus 1, else BC temp. Okay, so now I got, oh, here I gotta make sure that that's adding the actual volume data. So I gotta put data 1. I better make sure that works. It's kind of spiky. I was hoping for a more flatter plot there, but I guess we're dealing with volume, so there is going to be spikes. Now if I change look back to just 10, kind of looks like it smooths it out a little bit, so I'll keep it there. And there should be a steady increase. Or it's not a steady increase, because I'm only looking from 1 to look back with just 10, so it only looks at 10 values, so it's going to be anywhere from 0 to 10. So normally I would like to kind of change this look back value so that I don't get a 0 in the denominator. Since by counter is the denominator, I'm going to try to increase look back until I don't have any zeros for the buy counter. So here this will be the buy signal, and it'll basically be just the buy values divided by the buy counter value. And as you can see, if the buy counter is ever 0, this is going to give me problems. So I need to create a condition here to prevent that from happening. So let me just play with this. Let me see if 20, alright, it almost gets me above that 0. I do 25, 25 does it. Let's see what 30 does. Okay, 30, 40, alright, 40 gets me above 10. So 30, let's see where we're at here, make sure. So it looks like that's about 4 is the minimum here. And I'm only looking at a year, so let me look at 3 years out just to make sure. And let's see, that is 5. So yeah, 4 is the minimum here, so this should work. But I'll put the condition here anyways just to make sure. So I'll say if the denominator by counter does not equal 0, then buy signal will equal buy divided by buy counter. And I'll say, so I need to put a bracket there and say else. I'll just say buy signal equals 0. And then end it there. So now I can okay, so I'll take out this note. Won't need that anymore. And let's see. I should probably make sure that the buy signal now is the same plot. So actually I'm going to change this to 21. Anytime it's near 20 or around 20, I like to use 21 because it's the average days in between the monthly expirations. Yeah, I'm not even sure. For whatever reason, I just like to do that. And I also like to use 5 for days ahead just because that's one full trading week. And there might be psychological values for that. So if I get rid of this plot and then I just make this plot, it should pretty much be the same thing. It's really spiky. What? So I guess I'm gonna have to, yeah, I'm gonna do an average here just to smooth it out. Now normally I use variable length, but since I don't have that in here yet, I think I'll just use look back. Length I normally have set to 21, and you'll see that later on in a different video. But so when I do that, alright, that kind of smooths it out, but I'd like it to be a little more smooth, so I'm going to add a multiplier here. So if I do 10, that's kind of what I like to see. So if I go to 1, you'll see it's kind of up and down, although that is a 3-year plot. So it's not too bad. So here I'm going to create the multiplier. I'm just going to give it a name, look back multiplier. Let's set it to 2. Let's see what happens. So I'll copy this. I'll paste it here. And okay, not too bad. Okay, I think that's pretty good for now. That's quite good progress for the first video. So I'll see you in the next video.